28 years forgotten by my own family. I dropped a 5-minute Thanksgiving truth bomb, then reclaimed thousands in loans they owed me. My name is Oliver. I'm 28 years old, and for most of my life, I've felt invisible in my own family. The one they forget to message, leave out of photos, or only remember when they need a ride or a favor but not when it actually matters. I grew up with a mother who had a sharp tongue and a highly selective memory. She somehow remembered every mistake I ever made but forgot every award I received, every favor I did, and every birthday card I saved up for. My sister Ava figured out early on that being perfect got her everything. She smiled, played the part, got good grades, and was treated like royalty. I was the opposite, quiet, skeptical, and often honest. That didn't sit well with our family, where politeness was prized and honesty was inconvenient. For years, I tried to earn my place. I brought pies to dinners I wasn't invited to, gifts to birthdays where no one acknowledged me, and compliments for relatives who couldn't even pronounce my name right. I played along for a long time, hoping that maybe, if I tried hard enough, they'd eventually notice me. But by 25, the illusion was gone. I realized nothing I did would change where I stood. My seat at the table was never going to be secure. Still, the ache of that realization doesn't fully go away, no matter how rational you try to be. So when Thanksgiving came around last year, I wasn't sure if I should go. The only person in that entire web of relatives who treated me like I mattered was my cousin Maya. She's 2 years younger but more emotionally grounded than most of the adults in our family. Over the years, we grew close. DMs, late-night calls, honest check-ins. The day before Thanksgiving, she texted me, "You better come. I saved you a spot." So I gave in. If not for the family, then at least for her. I drove 40 minutes to my uncle's house, where Thanksgiving was always held. Standard suburbia, perfect lawn, an inflatable turkey out front, and the usual mix of butter, spices, and family tension wafting through the windows. I parked down the block, like always, because the driveway was already full. Walking up the steps, holding a bottle of wine no one would drink, I saw them through the screen door: my mom, aunt, sister, uncle laughing and chatting like it was a stage photo for Dysfunctional Families Anonymous. I didn't expect a warm welcome, not even a hello. But what happened next wasn't just cold, it was intentional. Just as I reached for the door, it opened slightly. My Uncle Ron stood there, blocking the doorway. He didn't smile, didn't say hi, just looked at me and said, "You're not family anymore, Oliver. You need to go." At first, I thought he was kidding. I even laughed, waiting for the punchline, but it never came. Behind him, I saw my mom setting the table. She passed a name card and a plate to Ava's boyfriend, a guy I'd only met twice. My chair had already been given away. Uncle Ron added, "You showing up just causes tension." I blinked. Tension? I haven't even walked in. He gave a half-hearted shrug. "Let's not make this worse. Just head home." I looked past him, caught my mother's eyes. She didn't look surprised. She didn't intervene, just raised an eyebrow and took a sip of wine, like she was watching a mildly interesting show. For a split second, I thought about pushing back, raising my voice, but I didn't. Instead, I just nodded, stepped back, and left. I walked to my car, wine bottle still in hand, drove to blocks, and pulled over. My hands weren't shaking from anger, they were shaking from something deeper. Finality. I wasn't family to them. I was a placeholder, someone to mock or ignore as needed, but I had something they didn't know about. For months, I'd been preparing for the moment I'd finally stop trying. Maya and I had talked about it often, late-night calls filled with stories of being overlooked. She saw the favoritism, the manipulation, the underlying hypocrisy. Once, she said, if anyone ever wanted to expose it, all it would take is one spark. So I took out my phone, opened a saved message I'd been working on for weeks. It wasn't a rant or a plea. It was a straightforward dose of truth sent to a select group of people in that house. Then I hit send. 5 minutes later, still parked near the house, I saw the door open in my rearview mirror. Maya came out first, visibly upset. Then Daniel, then his girlfriend, then my aunt's best friend, the one who always brought dessert and was always kind to me. One by one, they walked out. I couldn't hear what was being said inside, but I could guess. The illusion was breaking, and it was only the beginning. Maya called before I could drive off. "Oliver," she snapped before I could speak. "What did you do?" "You read it?" I asked. Of course, I read it. So did everyone. Uncle Ron turned purple. Your mom pretended not to understand, and Ava just stood there like she was in shock. I could hear the wind through her phone. She was walking fast. Then her tone shifted. Why didn't you tell me you were recording them? That was the thing. After years of being belittled, lied about, and ignored, I started keeping records. Not because I was paranoid, but because I was tired of being gaslit. I recorded conversations, saved texts, took screenshots. I had clips my mom telling Ava to take credit for something I'd done. Uncle Ron saying I only came around for handouts, even though I never asked for anything. And maybe the hardest one to listen to audio from my last birthday, where they forgot I was even at the table. The Thanksgiving message wasn't just a note. It was a compilation. I'd edited together 5 minutes of audio complete with context, dates, and long silences that said more than words. I sent it to 7 people: Maya, Daniel, Aunt Laura, my cousins Fianchi, my mom's sister who was always on the fence, and 2 family friends who believed the curated version of my mother and Uncle Ron. I didn't tell you because I didn't want you stuck in the middle, I said. Maya sighed. I already am in the middle, but I'm glad you did it. I finally exhaled. Are you okay? I asked. I will be. I'm done with them. Click. I sat there, watching more cars leave the house. People stood on the porch, confused. I could hear my mom's voice rise, but the words didn't matter. I'd heard them all before. The next call came from Aunt Laura. Oliver, she said, breathless. Where are you? Down the street. Stay there. I'm coming. 5 minutes. Later, she got into the passenger seat of my car. Her expression wasn't angry, more stunned. I listened to the whole thing, she said. I didn't speak. I didn't know it was that bad, she added. I knew they could be unkind, but I never realized how intentional it all was. You really didn't know? I asked. She winced. I saw glimpses, but your mom always made it seem like you were the problem. Said you exaggerated, twisted things. She didn't lie, I replied. She edited. Aunt Laura stared at the dashboard. This is going to tear the family apart. Maybe it already was, I said. That night, my phone lit up with messages, some angry, some apologetic, a few confused. But what stood out was the silence from the people who should have said something: my mom, Ava, and Uncle Ron. No texts, no calls. Until the next morning. That's when my mom posted a long Facebook status about betrayal, misunderstanding, and people airing private matters for attention. She didn't name me, but it was obvious who she meant. Supporters chimed in, calling me ungrateful. You raised him better, someone wrote. Then Maya commented. So did Daniel. Then Aunt Laura. Others joined in. They began calling out the manipulation, the double standards. Some shared their own experiences. The thread took off. A few relatives deleted their comments. A few blocked me, but the tide was shifting. For the first time, I wasn't alone. People finally saw it too. That weekend, Ava's boyfriend messaged me. I didn't know. I'm sorry. If I had, I wouldn't have taken your seat. I didn't reply. I didn't need to. The message had already been delivered far beyond that group text. For the first time in a long while, I didn't feel like a ghost in my own story. I felt like the one writing it. And it wasn't over. The Sunday after Thanksgiving, there was a knock at my door. I live in a quiet area, above a bakery that smells like cinnamon rolls every morning. It's peaceful. Nothing like the house I grew up in, where every slammed door felt like a warning shot and every holiday was a performance. I wasn't expecting anyone. My friends had already reached out after the video. Maya called me daily, but I didn't expect to open the door and see my dad. We hadn't spoken in almost a year. He looked older, more gray in his beard, his leather jacket more worn. He didn't smile, just stood there, hands in his pockets, swaying on his heels like he wasn't sure what to say. Hi, he muttered at last. Didn't expect to see you, I said, stepping aside but not exactly inviting him in. He hesitated, then entered. I watched him look around the apartment. Clean, quiet, filled with things that brought me comfort. Records on the shelf, a stack of books I finally had time to read, a framed photo of Maya and me from that one Thanksgiving we ditched the chaos and got burgers instead. I saw the video. He said, or parts of it. Your aunt sent it. I waited. He sat on the edge of my couch, eyes fixed on the floor like it held the words he couldn't say. Your mom's been losing it over this. Says you set her up. Accused you of twisting the story. I leaned back against the counter. Did I? He didn't reply immediately. just rubbed the bridge of his nose like trying to push the pressure out through his skin. I don't know, Oliver. I always knew things were rough between you two, but hearing it like that, it was tough. I folded my arms. Tough for who? He looked up. For me. Because it made me realize I let it go on for years, and there it was, the first honest thing my father had ever said that felt like acknowledgement, not dismissal. I didn't say anything. I wasn't sure I could. He shifted on the couch. You remember when you were 13 and your mom threw out your art portfolio? I nodded slowly. That day stayed with me. Months of work gone, because I got a B in science. Yeah, she told me you drew something disrespectful. I drew a cartoon of her yelling at me. That was it. He let out a dry laugh. I believed her. Didn't even ask to see it. That was the pattern, I said. My voice was surprisingly steady. She'd make a claim. You'd agree. Ava would play along. And I'd be left wondering if I was crazy or just not worth the truth. He looked like he wanted to defend himself, but he didn't. He just nodded, letting the silence hang. I can't change the past, he finally said. But I want you to know I see it now. I should have spoken up. I should have stepped in. I believed him. At least, part of me did. But I also knew his regret didn't erase years of silence. He hadn't been cruel, but his quiet complicity left its own scars. I appreciate you saying that, I told him. But I'm not sure what you want from me, he sighed. I don't know. I guess I just wanted to see how you're doing. I'm doing better, I said honestly. Now that I've stopped pretending they'll change, he nodded again. They're planning damage control. Of course they are. They probably think people will forget. He looked tired. Some already have. Some are afraid to take sides. But a few. They're angry, especially about the money. Yes, the money. The part no one outside that original message knew. For years, I'd quietly helped family members paying rent, covering car repairs, even lending Ava money when she claimed she needed to escape an abusive boyfriend. I never asked for repayment, never broadcasted it. I did it hoping foolishly that maybe it would earn me a place again. But that ended 3 months ago. No grand announcement. I just redirected my support to Maya, to friends, to people who actually saw me. The video included a note at the end. This is why I stopped funding your lives. Apparently, that hit harder than the audio. They say you're punishing them, my dad said. They punish themselves, I replied. I just stopped rewarding it. He didn't argue. Eventually, he stood. I should go. I just wanted you to know you were right. He paused at the door. If there's ever a way back for us, I hope you'll let me take it. Then he left. I didn't cry, didn't rage. I just stood in the silence, waiting for the next blow. Because I knew this wasn't over. My mom didn't surrender control easily. Ava didn't cope well with embarrassment. Thanksgiving was just the start. Christmas was coming. And if they thought they could go back to pretending nothing had changed, they were about to be reminded. I wasn't done. By December, the silence was telling. The family group chat, usually busy with potluck planning and Aunt Margie's recycled memes, was still. The last message, and it was mine. Let me know when you're ready to take accountability. No replies, no laughing reactions, just a heavy quiet, masking guilt as peace. I wasn't invited to Christmas, of course, but for the first time in years, I didn't feel excluded. No need to fake a smile through another dinner celebrating Ava's job like it was a Nobel, while mine went unmentioned. No need to laugh at their jokes about me, or hear Uncle Ron mutter, Oliver's always been sensitive, like I was defective. I was free. Free from duty, from expectation, from being the emotional target. But I wasn't finished. The Thanksgiving video had shaken things up, sparked tough conversations. But it hadn't forced real change. They were hiding now, waiting for it to blow over. So I made sure it wouldn't. I started with the money, quietly and precisely. The $3,000 loan to Ava? I had a lawyer send her a formal letter. Originally, I treated it as a gift. But after learning she lied about leaving that boyfriend he showed up at Thanksgiving in my spot, it was clear that deal no longer stood. She had 60 days to repay. No threats, no interest, just a paper trail. Uncle Ron's property tax. Every November I sent money to help, without him asking. Not this time. His payment bounced December 3rd. Then there was my mom. For 5 years, I covered her car lease. She never thanked me, just expected it. Said it was my role as her son. She didn't realize the car was in my name. On December 10th, I repossessed it. Then the phone calls came. Ava furious. Uncle Ron pleading, like I was overreacting. And finally, my mother, calm, controlled. So, this is who you really are. No, I said. This is who you created. Then I hung up. On Christmas Eve, I wasn't alone. I spent it with Maya and a few close friends. We made dinner, played board games, lit candles. The warmest holiday I'd had in years. Around midnight, Maya poured us wine and joined me on the floor under a blanket. They called me, she said. Let me guess, damage control. She nodded. Your mom said I was choosing sides, said I was tearing the family apart. You are, I said. The part that needed breaking. She rested her head on my shoulder. She also said she was going to set the record straight. I sighed. Of course she did. Next morning, I saw what she meant. My mom posted on Facebook a long, polished statement, another performance. She wrote about how families have hard times, how pain can go public, and how people get misled by false stories. No names, no details, just enough vagueness to draw sympathy from those who only knew her curated version. I didn't reply, didn't comment. I didn't have to, because by then, the truth was moving on its own. Aunt Laura posted a short message. Sometimes the only way to heal a broken family is to stop pretending it's not broken. Proud of you, Oliver. Daniel posted a screenshot and old text from my mom trashing me, sent right after I helped him buy college books. His caption, we all saw it. We just didn't want to admit it. More people spoke up. Cousins, family friends, even one of Ava's old roommates. People I hadn't talked to in years messaged me, said they noticed things, said they didn't realize how deep it went. It was like a pressure valve finally releasing. Everyone had a story. Everyone had a scar. And now, they weren't scared to share them. A week after Christmas, a handwritten letter arrived from my mom. Not an apology, a warning. She said I was ruining the family's reputation, said I was making enemies, that there'd be consequences for public humiliation. It read like the last move of someone losing control. I folded it once and tossed it. I didn't need to fight her anymore. The truth was doing that for me. By New Year's, the family had split into two groups, one clinging to old habits, defending my mom, downplaying the recordings, calling it drama. The other finally saw clearly. Maya hosted a brunch in January. Over 20 people came, people she trusted. Uncle Ron wasn't there. Neither was Ava. Neither was my mother. I've had to grieve. Not just the family I never really had, but the version of myself that kept hoping their love would come with approval. I buried that person, let go of the guilt, the pleasing, the endless waiting. Now, I'm living. I started writing again for the first time since high school. I launched a freelance business. Maya and I are closer than ever, and every so often, someone reaches out, someone who saw my story and recognized their own. They say thank you. I've felt this for years. So, if you're reading this, thinking of the relatives who mock you, who use your love like a leash, who only reach out when they want something, listen. You don't have to stay just because your name's on the mailbox. You don't owe anyone your silence to keep a peace they never offered you. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is walk away from the door they slammed and never look back. I didn't lose a family. I shed one, and in the stillness that followed I finally heard my voice again, clear and unapologetic.